Namaskar and welcome to Parliament News. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. First up, news from Lok Sabha. The Lok Sabha on Monday started functioning normally after 2 weeks of disruption, mostly due to protests by the opposition seeking a discussion on price rise and GST rate hike on some food items. During this period, last Monday, 4 Congress MPs, Manikam Tagore, Ramya Haridas, T.N. Pratapan and S. Jyotimani were suspended for the rest of the session for protest and carrying out placards inside of the House, even though proceedings in the morning hour as well as the 0 hour on Monday were disrupted as Congress again staged protests demanding withdrawal of the suspension of the 4 MPs. The House functioned normally after 2 p.m. when Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla revoked the suspension after Congress leader in Lok Sabha Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary said that it was not the intention of the opposition to hurt the chair. Birla was also warning the members that he will take stringent action against those who violated the rules of procedures that bars member from bringing any exhibits in the House. The bowl for the revocation of the suspension of said ruling, with the Speaker convening a meeting of floor leaders on Monday to end the stalemate in the House. As the House reconvened at 2 p.m, Birla said he was hurt by the incident that took place in the House over the past couple of weeks and urged members to work towards upholding the dignity of Lok Sabha. He said there should be consensus that we do not get placards in the House. I will urge all political parties not to bring placards to the House. I'm giving a final warning. If anyone gets placards to the House, I will neither listen to the government nor the opposition and will take action, the Speaker said. Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary said that the opposition raised some issues vociferously in the House and at times resorted to protests because the government did not give them a patient hearing. He assured the Speaker that he will convey the views expressed by the Chair to the members who have been suspended. After the revocation of suspension, the House took up the discussion on price rise, which was initiated by Congress member Manish Tiwari. Earlier, the Central University's amendment bill that seeks to convert National Rail and Transportation University, which is deemed to be university, into Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya, an autonomous central university, was introduced in Lok Sabha. The bill introduced by Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan seeks to expand the scope of the university from beyond railways to cover the entire transport sector to support the ambitious growth and modernization in the field. The Central Universities Amendment Bill 2022 seeks to amend the Central Universities Act 2009 inter alia to provide for the establishment of Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya as a body corporate under the said Act. Pradhan said that in the statement, objects and reasons of the bill, he said that establishment of Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya will address the need of talent in the strategically important and expanding transportation sector and meet the demand for trained talent and fuel growth and expansion of the sector. The proposed university will reverse brain drain and create critical capability and capacity by developing master's and doctoral degrees in transportation. It will go a long way in making the nation self-reliant in transportation sector through its programs for skilling and digitizing India. Pradhan said that the university will carry out critically needed research and development by creating innovative technologies that will encourage local manufacturing and substitute the imports of the expensive technology as well. Along with equipment and products, the university will also take additional measures for providing high quality teaching, research, skill development in diverse disciplines related to transportation, technology and management, including establishing centers in India and abroad. Minister Pradhan said that university is named after the government's flagship ₹100 lakh crore PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan for Multimodal Connectivity. Gati Shakti Master Plan is essentially a digital platform bringing together 16 ministries, including roadways and railways, for integrated planning and coordinated implementation of infrastructure connectivity projects. It seeks to incorporate infrastructure schemes for various ministries and state governments such as Bharatmala, Sagarmala, inland waterways, dry and land ports, Udan. Initiating discussion on price rise, Congress MP Manish Tiwari slammed the 2016 Indian banknotes demonetization and implementation of goods and services tax GST regime and claimed that these decisions were responsible for bad shape of the country's economy. Listing the high rate of unemployment, bad debts of the MSME sector, he claimed that crores of people have lost jobs in the country, accusing the central government of leaving people bereft of support during COVID-19 lockdown. Tiwari said the rise in the numbers of Manrega beneficiaries shows the lack of jobs, listing the GST hike on goods like edible oil, wheat, pensions and others. Congress leader claimed that while centre may have corrected its own debts, it has emptied the common man's pockets while filling top industrialists only. Participating in the debate, BJP MP Nishikant Dubey defended the NDA government's actions and alleged that wrong steps were taken by the previous governments that include issuing oil bonds, distribution of freebies, loan waiver, high NPAs of the banks among others. Dubey compared India's rising GDP to other economies like the US and China. He said that black money was scourge that BJP was now cleaning up from the Indian economy. Dubey said that the reason for high inflation and high gas price were the previous government's freebies, irresponsible currency printing and excessive subsidies, listing the hike in the price of essential commodities such as edible oil, medicines, pencils, hospital beds, wheat. TMC MP Kakoli Ghosh Tasdidar said people were burdened with ever-increasing prices of all these goods. Comparing the LPG prices under previous UPA government and the current NDA government, Ghosh cited the 7% inflation, which she said is higher than RBI's comfort level of 6%. Common man is suffering under the inflation, and you tax hospital beds, cemeteries too. Will you tax dead bodies next? She asked. BSP MP Sangeeta Azad expressed concern over the high inflation and taxing of everyday items like medicines, medical procedures, food items. Citing job loss, she sought revocation of recent GST hike on some packaged food items. TRS MP Nama Nageshwar Rao criticized the central government for allegedly not purchasing paddy from Telangana. He said Telangana government has taken many development schemes, including irrigation from the benefits of the farmers. Rao said prices of essential items are ever increasing in the country. Replying to a debate on price rise in Lok Sabha, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said India remains the fastest growing economy in the assessment of global agencies, and there is no question of the country getting into recession. Rebutting claims of the opposition to this effect, Sitharaman said that gross NPAs of banks was at 6-year low of 5.9%, and India's debt to GDP ratio was 56.21% in 2021-22, much lower than many nations. Citing GST and macro data, Sitharaman said Indian economy is getting more robust and efforts are being made to bring down the retail inflation below 7%. Finance Minister said the global supply chain was badly disrupted due to COVID-19, and despite that, India could keep the inflation below 7%. Referring to the previous UPA rule, she said that there were more than 9% inflation for 22 months during the UPA government. During that time, inflation was in double digit for 9 times, she informed. Earlier, participating in debate, Congress leader Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary asked whether the country is heading towards stagflation, as he claimed the country's economy is very precarious. The Congress MP said that income from agriculture has decreased against the government's promise of doubling farmers' income by 2022. Chaudhary said medical inflation in the country has been on the rise. He quoted government figures to refute BJP member Jayant Sinha's claims that the improvement of healthcare in the country is taking place. Anemia in children and women has increased significantly between 2015-16 and 2019-21. Over 67% of children in the country are anemic, Chaudhary claimed. Participating in the debate, NCP's Supriya Sule contradicted the government's stand that the decisions on the GST are taken after discussions with representatives of the state governments. She pointed out that BJP or its allies rule the majority of the state governments in the country. Sule asked Finance Minister Sitharaman how much banknotes are in circulation in the country. It is common economic knowledge that when you print extra notes, it leads to inflation, she said. Kaushalendra Kumar of the JDU said people in villages were very happy with the initiatives taken by the Modi government, especially during the COVID period. BJD member Pinaki Mishra rejected the contention that repayment of oil bonds floated by the UPA government was responsible for the increasing prices of petrol and diesel. He said during 2014 and 2022, the centre has collected rupees 27 lakh crore as tax on petrol and diesel, of which only 93,600 crore was spent on servicing of the bonds. Misra also raised the issue of large number of people quitting Indian citizenship and wanted the government to introspect why people were moving out of the country. Is CBDT, CBI and ED making life difficult for wealth creators? He questioned. Bharat Ram Maghani of the YSR Congress party said that the government should focus more on alternative sources of fuel, as dependence on fossil fuel imports drains the country's foreign currency. He also urged government to revise the minimum support prices of agricultural produce to keep the pace with inflation. TMC member Kalyan Banerjee said the government keeps blaming the COVID-19 pandemic for the rising inflation, and now the Russia-Ukraine war is the new alibi for the government for price rise. He claimed that all limits of price rise have been crossed. Banerjee demanded the rollback of the recent imposition of GST, as rising food prices have hit the poor hard. On the transaction charges, Banerjee said that banks are increasing fees on various services in the name of promoting digital transactions. Who is the real beneficiary of online banking, bank or customers? He wondered. TDP MP Jaydev Galla said that unabated increase in petrol and diesel prices is the main reason behind inflation. He said small restaurants and businesses are in a precarious situation due to increase in prices of food items. Galla suggested that bringing petrol, diesel under the purview of GST to control the increase in fuel prices. Participating in the debate, BJP member Jayant Sinha praised Prime Minister Narendra Modi for providing food to the poor during pandemic. The control that BJP government has on food items like eggs, milk and grains is impeccable, and it could never happen under the previous government. He said, Sinha said Modi government has provided the poor with bank accounts, access to toilets, electricity and drinking water. They are living in Pakka houses. We're also providing them with health insurance worth rupees 5 lakh under the Ayushman Bharat scheme. Where is the inflation when we have given them this boon worth rupees 5 lakh? He added. And now let's look at updates from Rajya Sabha. The logjam in the upper house between Treasury benches and the opposition on rising inflation and other issues continued for the third week in the monsoon session, with the upper house witnessing uproar by the opposition on the issues, forcing repeated adjournment of the house. When the house met for the day, the chairman called for laying of papers immediately. The members of the opposition sought to raise the issue of price rise and the Agnipath defence recruitment scheme. Members of the Shiv Sena protested on the matter and protested the arrest of the party leader Sanjay Raut by Enforcement Directorate in connection with the land scam. Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu said that the matter is being raised by the members. It had nothing to do with the House. He appealed to the members to go back to their seats. The Shiv Sena members, meanwhile, continued with their uproar. The members entered the well of the House and began shouting slogans. They were soon joined by the members of the All India Trinamool Congress, who were protesting on the issue of price rise. Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu urged the opposition to allow House to proceed. When the opposition continued with the uproar, the chairman adjourned the House till 1200 hours. When the House reassembled at 1200 hours, the opposition members continued with the protest and demanded discussions on various issues like price rise, Gujarat Hooch tragedy and Agnipath scheme. The acting chairman, Bhuvaneshwar Kalata, proceeded with the question hour. The proceeding continued amid the uproar by the opposition. The members entered the well of the House demanding discussion on various issues. Amid the uproar, Leader of Opposition Mallikarjun Kharge said opposition has raised several issues including price rise and the Gujarat Hooch tragedy. Leader of the House Piyush Goyal said that a discussion on the issue of price rise will be held tomorrow. He said that since the government has agreed to the demand of opposition, they should allow the House to proceed and allow transaction of House business and question hour. However, the opposition continued with the uproar, shouting slogans against the government. In reply to a question during the question hour, Jal Shakti Minister Gajendra Singh Shekhawat said that reduction in groundwater levels in the country is a matter of concern. He said that the government under the Prime Ministership of PM Narendra Modi is making efforts to address this challenge and problem. Gajendra Singh Shekhawat said that the problem of underground water going below the level is persistent throughout the country. He said states too need to take responsibility As the opposition continued with the acting chairman Bhuvneshwar Kalita said that the government has agreed to a discussion on the issue of price rise as demanded by the opposition to allow the House to proceed. However, his pleas fell on deaf ears, with members of the opposition continuing with uproar. Following this, the chairman adjourned the House till 1400 hours. The House reassembled at 1400 hours. The acting chairman Bhuvneshwar Kalita took up the Weapons of Mass Destruction and Their Delivery System Prohibition of Unlawful Activities Amendment Bill 2022. The bill amends the Weapons of Mass Destruction and the Delivery Systems Prohibition of Unlawful Activities Act 2005, which prohibits unlawful activities such as manufacturing, transport or transfer related to weapons of mass destruction and their means of delivery. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar moved a motion for the passage of the bill. The bill was later passed by a voice vote. It has already been passed by the Lok Sabha. The bill bars the persons from financing any prohibited activity related to weapons of mass destruction and their delivery systems. To prevent persons from financing such activities, the central government may freeze, seize or attach their funds, financial assets or economic resources, whether owned, held or controlled directly or indirectly. It may also prohibit persons from making finances or related services available for the benefit of other persons in relation to any activity which is prohibited. Leader of Opposition Mallikarjun Kharge alleged that the bill was passed when the House was not in order. Leader of the House Piyush Goyal said the opposition made baseless allegations against the chair. After the passage of the Weapons of Mass Destruction and the Delivery System Prohibition of Unlawful Activities Amendment Bill 2022, the chair called for taking up the Indian Antarctic Bill 2022. The bill aims to regulate visits and activities to Antarctica and set ground rules for potential disputes that may arise among those present on the continent. Under the provisions of the bill, private tours and expeditions to Antarctica would be prohibited without a permit or a written authorization by a member country. The bill aims to give effect to the Antarctic Treaty. Union Minister Jitendra Singh moved the bill for consideration of the House. Bhuvneshwar Kalita called for discussion on the bill amid uproar by the opposition. Speaking on the bill, Sujit Kumar of the BJD, welcoming the bill, said that it would encourage scientific research in the country. Narayan Reddy Sargapur of YSR Congress Party in his maiden speech said that it is a welcome bill as it encourages scientific research in the country. He said the bill presents India as an environmentally conscious country. After discussion on the bill, the Minister for Science and Technology, Jitendra Kumar, moved a motion for the passage of the bill. Simultaneously, John Bettas of CPI moved a motion for referring the bill to a select committee of the upper house. He called for a division on his motion. However, the division could not be taken up due to lack of order in the House. Amid sloganeering by the opposition, the bill was passed by voice vote after amendments moved by the opposition were rejected. The bill has now received the nod of Parliament as it has already been passed by Lok Sabha. After the passage of the bill, the chair adjourned the House for the day. This is the third week in succession during the monsoon session that the opposition has been raising a protest in the House on the issues of price rise, Agnipath scheme and various other issues. And with that, we conclude this edition of Parliament News. Namaskar.